Welcome, and today we're going to be talking about AAA powered flashlights. Now in my last video we talked about AA's and I gave a top 10 of my favorites. This one is going to be a little bit different. We are kind of in the middle part of identifying which flashlights to look at for a top 10 list in AAA's. But there are some here that we are absolutely not going to talk about in that video. They don't make the cut. Some that are in the middle, and some 5 of these, in fact, that are fantastic and you should definitely consider. So let's go ahead and take a look at all of these flashlights one by one. Now the first flashlight on our list is going to be the Thrunite Ti3 V2. Now there's been a couple iterations of this flashlight. It's generally speaking a keychain flashlight, which you can attach here, but it does have a clip that can be reversed. So it's pretty functional, actually very easy to attach. You can even attach it to your hat if you choose to. And it has 3 useful modes, including a very low 0.2 lumen mode. So you're going to get quite a lot of runtime from it. But truth be told, this is actually not the most efficient flashlight on the list when it comes to usage of the power. So it is a good flashlight, and it's definitely one you should consider because it does tail stand. It has a pretty easy to use interface, 3 different outputs, all of which are useful. And yeah, it's a good one, especially if you can get it on discount. They run up to about 15 bucks, something to consider. Now the next flashlights I have not actually reviewed on this channel. Now these are made by Peak LED Solutions. When I first got them, and I got a bunch of different sizes, I was really excited because I thought, wow, this is a reasonably priced flashlight that's actually made in the United States. God, I hope it's good. And unfortunately, they are not. And the reason they are not is because they use what's called quantum tunneling technology. And what that essentially means is that the harder you press on the connection points, the brighter it becomes, which in theory sounds great if it doesn't do that flickering all the time. And it doesn't matter whether you're adjusting the head to get it to do it. And let me turn it on. See, let me just turn it on a little bit. You can see that even if I just screw the head down, it's still going to flicker. It's not a great situation. But if you turn it all the way down, yeah, it holds steady. So what these are essentially are single mode flashlights. So if you don't mind having a single mode flashlight and you want one made in the United States, this isn't a bad option. And I think these are under $50. So pretty cool, but not one that I'd actually recommend. All right, next up are going to be a few from Lumintop. So this is the Lumintop Tool AAA. Okay, so it comes with a diffuser, which I think is kind of a very useful thing to have for a flashlight like this. But it works great. It works fantastic, in fact. It has 3 different... Okay, that was me. It has 3 different outputs. I think something is not fully screwed down. 3, 1, 2, and 3. But I just remembered this is one that has the high in the middle, which I think is very strange. But whatever. It honestly doesn't make that much of a difference because it is only 3 modes. It would be worse if it had more than 3, but here we go. And the one thing I will say is that it does have mode memory. So you'll come back in on the output that you set it. So some people like that and some people don't. My preference is actually for it not to have mode memory. So if I turn it on, I would like it to come back on low, but it comes back on the last memorized mode. This is tail switch capable, but you can actually use the head as well, just like the Lumintop Tool AA, the larger variant. You can do the same thing here. Plenty bright enough, decent for a AAA, good value. Definitely one I would recommend. All right, here we go, the Olight I3T. It is my opinion that this is the best flashlight made by Olight, even though it is probably one of the simplest ones they make, and I'm sure they would like you to appreciate their more expensive flashlights. But this light, it just works. It has a reversible clip, a very, very nice one that frankly works on every hat I've ever tried it on and doesn't have any issues. It grips really, really well. It also has this unique feature of being one of the brightest flashlights I have ever seen from this size, using a lithium 10440. So when you change out the battery here. Now I think it's currently just using a standard AA on this one. Yeah, a Energizer. But if I switch this out to the 10440, which is their lithium equivalent, I will get a low mode of around 50 lumens instead of 15, and I'll get a high mode of probably over 550 lumens instead of the 180. Now, I have seen a number of people who have played around with this setup, and none have had any catastrophic failures. I will mention, though, that if you do that, this does not have the ability to regulate the battery at low voltage. So if you run that battery dry, which is very possible, you will damage the battery. So ideally, you would want a protected 10440, but they don't really exist in the right length battery for this. So I am on the hunt for a battery that will let it have that output and then also protect itself. But as of right now, it's still a fantastic flashlight using just a AAA. It has two very, very useful outputs, a great proud tail switch, but also requires a lot of pressure, so you're not going to accidentally turn it on. And yeah, it's also quite bright. So definitely an easy recommendation from me. And as soon as I find the proper battery for this, I'll be making a video on it as well. Okay, here's our next entry from Lumintop. Now this one is probably the cheapest of all the flashlights on this list. Now, although it does not come in a neutral white like the Thrunite, it has a very similar setup, except that the low mode here, I believe, is 5 lumens, 1 to 5 lumens. It's brighter than a Luminitop, but it is far more efficient using that brightness. So you're going to get a longer run times. Both of these flashlights have a very similar user interface, and notice that this one is even shorter than the Thrunite. I actually prefer this one a little bit more, and it comes with a diffuser, which I would leave on it because that just improves its versatility. You can tail stand it and use it kind of as a mini lamp, which is one thing. It comes with a little clip, a ring, and it just works at 120 maximum lumens, and then as low as 5. It's going to be great. The only thing I wish it was didn't have mode memory and just came in on low every single time. That would make it a little bit better personally. But overall, this is a very, very easy recommendation. So definitely worth checking out if you're looking for something really, really short. All right, so next up, we have the Ultratac K18. I'm going to make it really short and sweet on this one. Avoid it. Even though it's technically rated to use both the 10440 and a AAA, there are so many concerning reports from this when I have read through all the comments. My suggestion is just stay away. It sounded great in theory. I really wanted it to be a good flashlight, and it is kind of unique with that side switch, but it's just definitely not one you're going to want to consider. So definitely stay away from this. Thumbs down, based on the consistency that people are mentioning in all of the different reviews that I have seen so far. Okay, so Maglite. I don't talk about Maglite very often. There's not much to talk about. Generally speaking, they are using the same technology they have for more than 20 years. But in the case of the Solitaire, it is actually a flashlight I kind of enjoy. Specifically, I like this red variant. It comes with a clip, which many of their flashlights do not. But for some reason, both this one and the double batteried version of this light are both IPX7 waterproof, where every other flashlight they make is IPX4. I don't understand why they haven't made everything waterproof, but this is actually a waterproof flashlight. And I think that's an important thing on a keychain or elsewhere. If I want to use a light in emergency, it better be waterproof. And so I do like this one. It is a single mode flashlight. Just keep in mind that you're going to have limited runtime because it is only going to be on high basically, but it's definitely solid and it's worth considering. All right, the next flashlight I want to talk about is the Olight I3E, but not specifically this flashlight, just any flashlight that has a single output mode. I have found them to be pretty limited in usefulness. at least for me personally. Where these flashlights are good and why you should consider them is as gifts for others who currently don't carry any flashlight for any reason. You know who they are. You want something so simple, it's bulletproof, right? And these are that. They are. And they have the AAA, and they will be useful to them. And I think that that is the best use of these flashlights. I get them regularly when I order other items, say from Olight or Fenix or whatever it happens to be. And so they're great to pass on as gifts, and they make great stocking stuffers as well. So that's what I would use them for. I technically recommend them, just not for everyone. Just keep that in mind. All right, now if there is a flashlight above the rest, it's probably going to end up being this one. I didn't talk very much about it when I unboxed it, but the Reylight Pineapple Mini is embarrassingly good for its price. I think these are running around $32 on his website. And this model uses the Nicha 218B. It is the highest, one of the highest CRI emitters that they had at the particular time. The newest version is now running the brand new Nicha 519A and has a maximum output of 500 lumens, according to their website, with the 10440. Now I am going to end up buying another one of these to test just how bright they actually are. But the beauty of this light is it has all the same style of its titanium variant, and you can install a tritium if you choose to. You can program the interface. It's still going to have the high CRI. It has a fantastic clip, and it's still plenty easy enough to use hands-free, at least for me, because I have the Wazoo cash cap. I can just slot it in as you see. But this is a fantastic light. And at $31, $32, it's going to take some time to get there, but it is way worth the wait. I'm actually going to get the second variant, and we'll do a separate video on it, doing a comparison between the old and the new model. But it is an easy recommendation. All right, so the next flashlight on the list is this one. This is the Fenix LD02. Now, this has been around for quite a while, but man, it's a beautiful piece with great finish. I love the milling on this thing and on the button as well. It just feels really proper. And for the price, it's actually quite good. I think $30. And this particular one has a warm emitter. And it is very warm. Very warm compared to, well, let me pull up this one, for instance. Let me take this off. So you can see just how much warmer this tint is. So it is a very nice tint, 90 plus CRI, but that doesn't mean it's not very bright. It actually is surprisingly bright on its highest output. It has also, in addition to a white emitter, it also has a small UV emitter. So you can see that it lights up this white very well, and it will do a bunch of other things as well. And then if I cycle through by half pressing while it's on, I can get my low mode, my medium, and my high. And it has a great satisfying click as well. Love it. Love this light. I'm actually kind of sorry that I waited so long to get it. It's a great little piece. And if you're looking for something elegant that maybe fits in a small organizer, yeah, this is a good choice. All right, this is going to be really brief. This is identical, basically, to the EDC01, except that it has a magnetic attachment point on the back, and it's almost a little too strong. Maybe that's why they ended up discontinuing it. I don't think I can, I'm not sure I can get it off without attaching something. Oh yeah, I could just pull that off. But yeah, it has a magnetic tail base, so it has a unique feature to be able to connect to something that is metal, so it'll just stick on and work. And I liked that. I'm sorry they discontinued it. It also came with a pocket clip, which worked in between these two layers. Not much to say here. It's basically the same light, and it was great, except that they no longer have it. So that's sad, but if you do get access to one, it's a very useful piece, and I love the magnetic system. All right, so the last one is going to be the Mateminco CSF 03. This light is so frustrating to me because it does everything correct except one very obnoxious feature. And I'm going to tell you what that is, but I'm also going to tell you this is a fantastic light in general with a great price point. So you can get these from a couple different places. Generally, you're going to have to wait a little bit of time to get it from overseas. It can use both the 10440 and the AAA. It has a great button, a reversible clip, and there's one problem though, is that, like, let's say I have this mode, right? Now just remember how bright that is. Turn it off. I turn it back on. Now that's not the same mode I had. Now let me turn it off again. Turn it off. Turn it back on. It has what we call next mode memory. Essentially, it comes on the following mode from what you left off on. It is the dumbest version of mode memory possible. If I was giving stars for this, it would be a 1 out of 5 because it is obnoxious that I have no idea, even if I'm thinking about it, what mode I'm coming in on. Now, I might be overthinking this because the actual stats on it are fantastic, but that is the dumbest thing ever. If anything, it should have no mode memory if they can't figure out how to bring it on the same mode set every single time. But yeah, here it is. The Mateminco CSF 03, waterproof, good button, excellent outputs. It's just doesn't have the ability to come in on a mode that you'd expect. So just keep in mind that maybe it's worth it to you, maybe it's not. I don't know exactly how I feel. I would suggest skipping it, not when you can get this for a little bit more and it's just better, or the Fenix, and I think that would also be a slightly better choice, at least for right now. All right, so let's go ahead and sum all this up. Flashlights to avoid, go ahead and skip the ones from Peak LED Solutions, at least until they've upgraded their systems. The Ultratac is not one I recommend and you should stay away from. In the middle range, you have the Thrunite Ti3 V2, which I think is good, but I think there are better flashlights. Then you have single mode flashlights like the Solitaire and the i3E EOS, which are okay, but have limited use. Then you have the Mateminco CSF 03, which in theory is great, except for one major annoying quirk. And then you have over here the ones that so far I've been very, very pleased with. So we have, let's talk about well, this one's no longer available, so we'll take that out. But these 5, which are the Luminitop EDC01, the Olight I3E, the Lumintop Tool AAA, the Fenix LD02, and the Reylight Pineapple Mini. So all 5 of these flashlights are fantastic, and I can definitely recommend. I hope this at least narrowed down the band, and there's just a bunch you can just go ahead and avoid at this point. Not because they're necessarily bad. I mean, some of these are actually fine, okay? But there are better options in these 5. There's probably even more. I just haven't had the time. So I want to get this out as a point of reference when it comes to AAAs, and these are my current 5 favorite AAA flashlights. Thanks for your time, and we'll talk again soon.